Major support for Louisiana Eats on WWNO provided by Zatarain's, proud producers of authentic New Orleans-style cuisine. Zatarain's, a New Orleans tradition since 1889.
From WWNO New Orleans, this is Louisiana Eats. I'm Poppy Tooker. One of the freshest new ideas of 2014 is a wellness boutique on Magazine Street in New Orleans, Raw Republic. The most refreshing thing about Raw Republic? Its creator, Sheena Menina, who joins us to share her holistic worldview. Then, our healthy exploration continues with Helen Yoest, the author of a new book, Plants with Benefits. Helen's interest centers on the authentic aphrodisiacs that can be found in your grocery and your home spice cabinet. We'll put a chocolate icing on it all with Bittersweet Confections' Cheryl Scripter. We're heating up some healthy romance just in time for Valentine's on this week's Louisiana Eats. If you're a Louisiana Eats regular, you were there when our Good Eggs friends introduced us to Sheena Menina, the owner of Raw Republic, a self-described organic wellness boutique where healthy deliciousness abounds.
I'm Sheena Menina with Raw Republic. We're a cold-pressed juice shop at 4528 Magazine Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. Our store, it goes through every aspect of living a clean life, from beauty to information to DVDs that we lease out to the community actually free of charge just to get the information out there, and then along, finishing with our juices and smoothies and raw organic foods. So we need to bring this to our people and our community because it's a healer, and we need that here. We need balance. So that's what we're here for.
We were so captivated with Sheena's fresh new concept, we decided to continue our conversation in her new Magazine Street shop. Sheena greeted us with just pressed carrot cocoa juice and gave us a tour of her little boutique. No matter what your state of mind is, when you come through the doors at Raw Republic, within moments, the minimalist aesthetic calms you down. As the sun peeked from behind wintry clouds, we settled into the comfy window seat to hear Sheena's holistic worldview.
Holistic medicine is healing your mind, body, spirit simultaneously using natural sources. I think that the medical industry tries to heal just in a one-line therapy, and holistic is so multidimensional and heals you from so many different places that you're actually left a brighter human being on every front. And that's, I guess, why was the question, why are you interested in holistic medicine? Okay, that's why.
Well, I have to say, a visit to Raw Republic is the most holistic way of seeking good health that I've ever experienced in my life. So, sort of describe your personal holistic experience that brought you here.
I know that I don't have all the information. I know that I don't have all the knowledge, and I'm so fortunate to be connected with so many people who have an array of backgrounds and healing modalities under their belt. So I really try to source those people and to bring them into Raw Republic to offer our community and our consumers. We're just being guided to create a respite for people to seek healing. And I find that a natural way of healing encourages greater spiritual expansion. It encourages your physical limitations. Everything in your life becomes broader and lighter and clearer. And I hope that Raw Republic just becomes a source and a respite for people to seek that in their own lives, whether through education, through a new food product, through changing out their toxic beauty products for something more natural and more beautiful, or really just by sitting here and experiencing what we've created in this space.
So explain to me, what do you mean when you say energy work? What does that mean?
There are so many different forms of energy work. There are so many different schools of thought in how to change your energy and how to improve your energy. But generally, it's a form of healing that's non-invasive, and the practitioner will use either the energy of the universe or their internal energy to heal what is in your body that is ready to be healed. It can be anything. It can be something spiritual. It can be something physical. It can be something from a past life. If your body is ready to accept that healing, generally you will be healed at that time. And I've experienced it through the names are generally Reiki, healing touch. Even acupuncture is somewhat of an energy healing. Acupressure would be a non-invasive form of acupuncture. So that's a long explanation of what is energy work.
And how long have you been studying this and going after this kind of thing?
I would say since I was born. I would say that I've been on a journey. Always when you're somewhere, you can always look back and see how the pieces have connected. And I absolutely see that. I see that in every traditional education that I've sought. It's been to build this business and to build this community of healing. So in traditional education, I've been seeking this, I guess, for 2 years. I completed a holistic health counseling program through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York. And I also completed a living food certification from the Ann Wigmore Institute in Puerto Rico. And I'm also a Vipassana meditator, which means that I've completed a 10-day silent meditation in Vipassana and can practice and teach Vipassana meditation, which is a very passive meditation.
Wow, all of that and you're only 25.
Scary.
It is scary. Today we're speaking with Sheena Menina, owner of Raw Republic, a holistic juice shop in New Orleans. Sheena doesn't need much to operate her business. The kitchen uses a pair of refrigerators, a prep table, a sink, and the cornerstones of her business, a cold-pressed juicer and blender. There's 3 pounds of organic fruits and vegetables in each of Sheena's juices, tonics, and smoothies. That type of condensed nutrition doesn't come cheap or easy, but the payoff is big. Sheena believes her products foster a cleaner lifestyle that connects us to the planet.
You know, I kind of go through the menu in terms of what would be a perfect day in terms of nutrition. And a perfect day in terms of nutrition to me would bring life-encouraging foods into every part of your consumption. So during the day, I encourage people to have green juices. Greens grow during the day. They are a life force of energy. Chlorophyll has a similar makeup to our blood, our own human blood. So I tell people to drink green juices during the day to just feed every aspect of your system and your body. And it truly doesn't matter what the ingredients are. If it tastes good to you and it's green, most likely it's benefiting you, as long as it's organic and cold pressed. And then a natural progression from my intuition, my feelings, are to go to the root vegetable juices in the afternoon for snacking and for reinvigoration. A lot of times they bring you a lot of energy. They are blood repairers. Specifically, beet is a blood repairer and a liver repairer. Carrots are skin repairers and are incredibly anti-cancer, antiviral, antimicrobial. Carrots are wonderful. And they also grow at night. So it's an intuitive thing to think of eating your root vegetables in the afternoon because generally that's when they flourish as well.
What I'm curious about is, what about diabetics? Because that is such an issue in so many people's lives. And so are there things in the shop that are good specifically for diabetics or things that diabetics should shy away from?
So there are 2 conversations regarding diabetics. You have type 1 diabetics and type 2 diabetics. And from my perspective and my education, every person, including people with diabetes, would improve significantly, if not completely resolve, their diabetes through a raw vegan lifestyle. I believe that in my heart. I've seen it in documentaries. I actually have the documentary here. It's called Simply Raw in 30 Days, and we lease out the documentary. So if there's any diabetics listening who are interested in information, I'm more than happy to loan you this DVD. That being said, let me just say that everything that I say is not, I'm not trying to treat an illness. I'm not trying to diagnose an illness. What I'm trying to do is just provide what I think is a healthy life. So we're changing our perspectives on everything because a lot of us are so sick and toxic. We're sick of being sick. We're tired of being tired. So we're all seeking new information. And I challenge people with illness, you go to your doctor's office and you're expecting to receive a prescription. You will receive that prescription because that is what the doctors are trained to give you in response to an illness. That being said, you own your body. You own your choices. If you have an illness, research it. Research it from a holistic perspective. Challenge what the doctors are telling you and see if you can find a different answer. See if you can find an underlying issue or an underlying dietary result that, potentially is causing these symptoms. Don't take no for an answer. You can heal anything. There are people who have healed their illnesses through their thoughts. Major changes and improvements can be made in changing your diet.
One of your products that fascinated me is that you've got a 6-day cleanse that you offer. So what's that about and how do you use it?
We hold a lot of our feelings in our colon and in our digestive system. So cleansing can be a very emotional process, but it's something that must be done. Generally, we advertise as having a 1, 3, or 5-day cleanse, and the options are to either cleanse solely with juice or to include green smoothies in your cleanse. Both are amazing options. If you're someone who generally eats a standard American diet full of highly processed foods, you would probably do best on a juice and smoothie cleanse. I'm saying that because the smoothies include all the fiber, and you probably aren't getting much fiber if you're eating a standard American diet. Fiber is only present in vegetation. So if you're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're basically getting no available fiber, which is so necessary and so needed for digestion. I often compare fiber to it's almost a magnetic force through your body that pulls negativity and pulls toxins. And when you don't have that force, nothing is being removed. You're just putting more on top. And it's very necessary to remove the negative from your life in many ways. I hope that in some way we bring happiness and joy and health to someone. And that's our purpose, and that's what we try to achieve.
That's Sheena Menina, owner of Raw Republic, an organic wellness boutique on the corner of Cadiz and Magazine Street in uptown New Orleans. Whole Foods Market made a festive return to New Orleans' Mid-City neighborhood last Tuesday, February 4th, when it held its grand opening on Broad Street, announcing the launch of the grocer's third location in the New Orleans area. Partnering with the Refresh Project, the new store hopes to stimulate growth and provide access to high-quality food for people throughout the community. On a foggy February morning, hundreds of New Orleans residents gathered in the Whole Foods parking lot for free coffee, pastries, and live music. Taking the stage among local partners and city leaders, Ernest Roy, the new store team leader, introduced his crew.
Good morning, New Orleans. Who are we? Broad Street. Who are we? Broad Street. Who are we? Broad Street. That's your store, New Orleans. think we're ready to open the doors, right?
Good morning. Thanks for shopping. Good morning.
We're here! We made it! We're celebrating the new Whole Foods store in Mid-City. First things first, I would like a cup of coffee. It's a little early. So we might grab some breakfast here today.
Hey,
Are you looking for something?
yeah, flaxseed. Like, do you know flaxseed?
My name is Suyeni. I'm from Brazil, but I live here for 15 years. I'm having my coffee and my croissant. Looks great. Everybody's happy. Good for our neighborhood, right? We're just buying a new house around here, so I'm very happy to have Whole Food around. I think it's going to be a big thing for the whole neighborhood.
This is, I'm going to grab your shrimp for you.
2 jalapeno salmon patties also.
2 jalapenos, 10 patties, and a pound of brown shrimp.
Came to look for some juice and bacon.
The juice bar.
But I don't know if they have one.
They might not have a juice bar, but they definitely have bacon. And we wanted to see what all the fuss was about, because they said there was a line on Facebook. And I think people are really excited for this place to be here, to be open.
Super exciting.
Yeah, she can get 6 different kinds of quinoa. Or can you get 6 kinds of quinoa?
It's chaotic in here and very, bumper to bumper. Everybody has a basket. Everybody's getting everything. You can feel the excitement. You can feel the joy and the happiness of the people who are excited to have something like this in our neighborhood. My passion has always been nutrition, so I'm all about fresh food and vegetables and, trying to incorporate New Orleans-style traditional food, healthy, a healthier version.
My name's Rudy, and I'm pretty far into the building, and there's quite a substantial line. There's many people way behind me, going back, wrapping around the building. I think it's comparable to when Trader Joe's opened in Baton Rouge, actually. I was there, too. Lots of people standing around. Probably wish they had baskets, but we're all having a good time, so. The Whole Foods brand products are on sale, so I stocked up on a bunch. Planning on making some hummus, so I bought a lot of chickpeas, and they were giving away some meat, so I picked up some free meat. Going to make some kale chips, and stocked up on some spices, some turmeric and some mustard seed. So they have a wide selection. I was surprised. We do some shopping at Rouse's. We also shop at the farmer's market, but now that it's just a small bike ride away, we're really excited to have one right in our backyard.
All right. Nice. You see, you got the different labels and the different brands. Each little region across the land. Different colors in the different states. Different labels. And let's tell about mates are all the different states for all their different traits. And as of this date, I hate no state. Let's rock.
After a short break, author Helen Yoest has some shocking things to say about plants that have true aphrodisiac effects. Those naughty avocados. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. Louisiana Eats is brought to you with major support from Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen and Zatarain's. Shopping on a budget is something we all do, but it's essential for chefs. After all, the cheaper the overhead, the more lucrative the business. Each week, Chef Ryan Hughes shops for ingredients that he uses at his pop-up restaurant, Perlou. His challenge? To further his sense of adventure and creativity in the kitchen without breaking the bank. His solution? The Hong Kong market in Gretna. Ryan joins us from the market where a Chinese cabbage taught him a lesson in economics.
So, what I'm looking for today is yu choy. All right, we found the yu choy, and look at this. Not only do we find it, but it's even on sale. How's that? So it's 99 cents a pound. Yu choy is interesting. It's actually known as rape. So, yeah, obviously there's a PR thing there involved. And the poor, Yu Choi people are like, no, we can't do rape. And this is actually very interesting, too. The seeds from the Yu Choi plant, a lot of the French and Italians used to cook with. And they had a marketing scheme going on where they changed it from rapeseed oil to, guess what, canola oil. So canola oil that we all use and cook with now is actually from rape seeds. I'm going to take a little piece off the top. They'll never know, huh? They'll charge me extra on the way out. That's what they usually do. They're like, uh-oh, there goes the chef who, he's got like all these greens on the sides of his beard and his mouth. What I do with this, I take on a classical French dish called Tournedos Rossini. I love taking old classical French dishes and kind of modernizing them, updating it. So on that dish, traditionally it was like little tiny fillets with foie gras seared on top with Madeira and truffle demi-glace on toast. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, huh? So to lighten it up a little bit, I'm sautéing this yu choi to go with it. All right, let's grab a couple of these. When I first started doing these, it was a lesson to me as a chef. I was over-purchasing. When I'm in a normal restaurant, we're used to buying in bulk, and we just see how things get depleted through the special and through the menu, and we just know to reorder and whatnot. I noticed at the beginning I was actually over-ordering because I was like thinking the same way. I was like, wow, is this really enough to feed this many people? It's not like I'm trying to shortchange people here. I just would have a lot left over. And I was like, wow, it really doesn't take that much of these things to feed people. I kind of look at a bundle as break it down into half. So if I got 30 people to feed tomorrow, is one bundle going to feed 15 people? And I look at it and, yeah, it'll be fine. There's so many things that I've learned from doing the pop-up about managing, not only time but organization and what you purchase and whatnot. I think it's a great lesson for all chefs to do something like this. How you have to be organized and you can only buy or should only buy a certain amount. That's the hardest thing, for us chefs. It's just not calling and leaving a voicemail on an answering machine anymore. It's like me actually calling the farmer or going up to a dairy and going, hey, what do you got? What do you need to get rid of? That's always a cool question that I ask people. And it kind of takes some people back when I'm saying, what do you need to get rid of? It's not that it's going bad. They've got a surplus. Mother Nature is pretty crazy, especially down here in Louisiana. You don't know what's going to happen. So there was one farmer I talked to at the farmer's market often, and I found out he was growing these amazing cabbages and kohlrabis. I would go by there, and at the end of the farmer's market, he always had a bunch left over. My cooks started getting on me first. They're like, wow, you really like this vegetable? I was like, yeah, I really do. Especially getting it for like 15 cents a pound or whatnot. Once the regular purlieu opens up, I'll be ordering differently, So it's a good thing.
Chef Ryan Hughes of Purlieu from the Hong Kong market in Gretna, Louisiana. I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats. Helen Yoest is an award-winning freelance writer and garden stylist. Helen's written a book she describes as a botanical Kama Sutra. Plants with benefits. Helen, welcome to Louisiana Eats.
Hey, Poppy. Thanks for having me.
Well, amazing book concept, and forgive the pun, but how did this seed get planted?
I was doing some research on another story I was doing on avocados. It kept making a reference to its aphrodisiac qualities, and I'm thinking, this is a whole lot better than guacamole. So I started playing around and found out that it was indeed an aphrodisiac. It started with the ancient Aztecs.
The ancient Aztecs?
Yeah, way back then. When it was harvest time, they would lock their virgin daughters up and make sure that they weren't out in the fields. Yes, they hang in pairs, and it's called the testicle tree.
Oh my goodness. Well, really, the use of aphrodisiacs, this is a story of science versus psychology and fact versus fiction, really. So how did you make the determination?
Well, I looked at 4 kind of aspects, and you're right. There's just this, like the FDA comes right out and says there's no truth to any aphrodisiac. But you take any sophomoric humor with a banana in their hand, and they're going to make a little joke about it. It's just human nature. So I'm calling it the SHHH, which is suggestion, heat, health, and hormones. The suggestion is that what something looks like, that looks like a duck and it walks like a duck.
So that's the first, the S. So then H, heat?
Heat, and that is the brain chemistry actually working to get the blood flowing more. Cayenne pepper is a great example of that. Chocolate fell into that category. When you eat chocolate, your body heats up and kind of puts you in the mood for sex.
And
I'm embarrassed. I'm blushing now. I'm sorry. Let me clear this blush.
Well, this is a racy conversation for any food radio. So then, what comes next after the heat?
Hormones. Hormones are next, and there are plants that are listed in the book that mimic testosterone or estrogen. So, like arugula is pretty rich in testosterone. Its nickname is the rocket.
Oh, I'd never thought of arugula quite in that way.
Yeah, it's also got a warming agent as well. You're never going to look at any of these plants the same, I promise you, when you read the book. You're going to go, oh, so that's why I feel so happy when I'm around almonds.
So this is going on in our brain chemistry and our body simultaneously.
Yes. And also, some of these plants really are just good, healthy plant. Like, back to the avocado, that's just a really good, healthy plant. And, like the Viagra commercial says, make sure you're in good health before you have sex. And some of these plants, I guess, are the same way, and except it's backwards. You get good health, you're likely to have good sex.
Well, you pointed out that good nutrition is linked to good health and high energy levels, and that could help set the stage for an active sex life.
Absolutely.
You have what you call the O list. Okay, Helen.
I'm blushing. Okay.
Just tell me, what's the O list and what's at the top of it?
It is, every plant in here is on the O list. And I guess I would say for men it would be the licorice. For women it will be lavender. And when I say for women, so here we go. We're mincing words again. Because if it helps the woman, it's also helping the man, right?
Right.
It's helping the man, it's also helping the woman. But Cleopatra would douse herself in lavender before hooking up with Julius Caesar or Mark Antony. That was one of her tricks. She also bathed in saffron. Now, it's not clear if she did with one stamen or a whole pound, which would be 75,000 stamens. So it's really hard to tell. But when you're a pharaoh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When you're the queen of the Nile, anything is yours. Well, Helen, one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you was it's going to be Valentine's Day. And I know that all my Louisiana Eats listeners would love some romantic dinner ideas. So would you give me your go for broke seduction Valentine dinner menu?
I would start with pomegranate martinis. If not that, then definitely champagne with the effervescence. It goes quicker to the system than a still wine, so a little bit goes a long way and acts a little quicker, so that's kind of nice. Puts people in the mood faster, and just, it's like a celebration every time you open a bottle, so that's going to automatically put you in the mood. So definitely start with a soup, probably an almond soup.
And
then probably fennel and onions. That would be fun.
And maybe you could have a little arugula salad next too.
Yeah, you could. You could do arugula salad. So you want to keep it light. You don't want anything really heavy, but the fennel and onion would be hearty enough. You need to build up your stamina.
And then what do? Kick it off with some cayenne spice chocolate dessert?
Yeah. Even just a hot cocoa. Do you know, in Mexico, in the Aztec ruler Montezuma,
yes,
he drank 50 goblets of cocoa a day to keep his stamina up.
Yikes. Well, I don't know if we're going to go that far for Valentine's, but I really, really appreciate all of your delicious advice for Valentine's romance. So thanks so much for making the time to talk with us. And your book, what a resource. Thank you, Helen.
Thanks, Poppy.
Helen Yoest, author of Plants with Benefits. We can always count on our Louisiana Eats rambling reporter, Ian McNulty, to hunt out the most delectable spots for dining in our delicious state. So, Ian, where are we rambling to today?
Poppy, we're going to New Iberia. There's this great little place I love called Bon Creole Lunch Counter. And it is a lunch counter indeed, but it's a place that's worth putting on your map when you're traveling through this area. Doesn't look like much. Very, very easy to pass this place by. In fact, it looks a little beat up, to be honest. It's a cinder block building, low, no windows. There's a mural on the wall outside, but it's so faded you kind of have to know that the mural is there.
Yeah.
It's a little murky. But look closely, you'll see this giant raccoon character peering out from the cinder blocks at you. So this really is a lunch counter, a deli. You know, you order at the counter, you get your soda from the fountain. There's plank tables set with paper towel rolls inside. Not fancy at all. But the decor is pretty fun. There's lots of mounted game, from giant marlins to alligators, and you just know these creatures have stories behind them.
Yes.
And probably recipes, too.
Yikes.
Don't get the wrong idea. This place is the real deal. This is where a lot of people in New Iberia and the area will go for lunch. One of the things I love here is their way with gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the menu runs through primarily po' boys, plate lunches, burgers, but the gumbo is a real standout. That's what I always start with, especially the chicken and andouille gumbo. Really good, hearty, it'll warm you on a chilly day. It'll make a hot day feel a little less hot for some reason.
Okay.
That mysterious way gumbo can do. And you order the gumbo here, you get 3 bowls. One has your gumbo.
Uh-huh.
One has rice to load into your gumbo if you like. And the other has potato salad.
Oh, of course, because that's the Cajun way.
Right. I know a lot of your listeners will be nodding their heads right now saying, potato salad and gumbo, that's what you do out in the country. This is a creamy, pale yellow type of potato salad. And I had my doubts the first time I ever saw potato salad served with gumbo, but it's delicious. It adds that, it gets a little more creamy in there when you mix it in.
Uh-huh.
I go back and forth between the rice and the potato salad when I'm out there, but they serve you with both. The po' boys are the big thing here. If you're accustomed to, say, a New Orleans po' boy, it's going to be a little bit different because the bread is just softer. It doesn't have that crackly, crisp crust to it, that really like kind of shattering loaf that we're accustomed to in New Orleans. But if you get the seafood varieties here, the beautiful thing is how they show off that delicate art of frying, which tends to change, I think, from region to region a little bit. And out in Cajun country, I mean, they've really got it down. Different fries for the different types of seafood, really golden, crisp shrimp, oysters, just really beautiful kind of nutty texture to them. And they have the specialty here is the seafood platter po' boy, which you can kind of guess what that is.
It's everything.
It brings the house. The seafood platter po' boy, shrimp, oysters, catfish, crawfish. It's basically a seafood platter made into a sandwich. Burgers don't look like much here, but they're the good, standard, tasty diner variety, Probably better for somebody who's traveling along with you who's not really into Louisiana seafood. And then this catalog of classic plate lunches that vary throughout the week. Probably the standouts being the shrimp stew if you happen to be passing by on a Wednesday, or the etouffee, the crawfish etouffee on a
Shrimp
Friday.
stew is something that really is special out in Cajun country.
Yeah, so that's Bon Creole Lunch Counter, New Iberia, just outside of town. If you're passing through there, even if you're going somewhere else, if you're headed between Lafayette and New Orleans, say, or Morgan City, it's a great place to pull over and have you a quick lunch for the road.
Well, thanks, Ian. Please come back and chat with us again soon.
Absolutely, I will.
Louisiana Eats Rambling reporter Ian McNulty. What is the most important thing to remember when you're getting ready to start baking those sweet Valentine's Day treats? Stay tuned. And when we come back, I'll share that simple secret with you.
I'm on my way to New Orleans this morning.
I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. Louisiana Eats is made possible with major support from Rouse's Markets. Here's this week's culinary quiz question, brought to you with support from Popeye's Louisiana Culinary Institute. What is the most important thing to remember before you begin baking any pastry treat? Take all of your ingredients out of the refrigerator and let them come to room temperature before you even think about turning on that mixer. Cold butter will make your batter or your icing seize. Cold eggs have similar disastrous effects. Just remember that one simple step: room temperature ingredients for baked goods. I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats. You might remember Cheryl Scripter's chocolate truffles from her early days at the Crescent City Farmers Market. Now, her bittersweet confection store is located just across the street from where it all began at that Saturday morning Magazine Street Market. Cheryl sat down with us and shared the secret of tempering chocolate so you can give those truffles a try at home. Cheryl, welcome to Louisiana Eats.
Thank you, Poppy.
With chocolate, it really is all about temperature, isn't it?
Completely. And bringing me back to those days of asking the people at the farmer's market for a little spot just really brings it all back to me. Because one of the first things they asked me about was, how in the world are you going to keep your chocolates from spoiling and melting? I said, well, I have an ice chest, and there's something called gel packs, and I'm very careful, and I think I can make it work.
And you did make it work.
Yeah, I mean, there were some tricky days in August that, you know, you put things out and they become soupy, but, you know, of course you don't sell those things. You just put them out for display, and unless someone touches them, then you're good.
And really in those days, the core of your business were those beautiful truffles. Explain what a truffle is and talk about how you make your truffles.
Yeah, well, that's a real good question because a lot of people get confused about what a truffle is. And the easiest way that I can explain it is that the name does come from the truffle that is grown in France, in Périgord, France, that pigs are trained to dig up. And my truffles are different because, number one, they're chocolate. And number two, they're similar because they're irregularly shaped, like the truffles that you find in France or wherever you're growing them. They are dark in color, and they're rich in flavor. So those are the similarities. And truffles, my truffles are dairy-based, so it's chocolate, it's cream, and it's butter.
Yum. And what are some of the flavors that you incorporate in?
I started doing a regular chocolate. Then I started thinking about some of the different flavors of the city and how we could have some fun with those flavors. So, of course, we do a mocha or a cafe au lait. We do a creme brulee. We do a bananas foster. And then we have some fun with spices like we do here in the city. And I introduced an Indian chai, which is a fun flavor. And then we also do a ginger truffle. More so than anything, I was surprised that people really wanted those traditional flavors. As much fun as I have creating the kind of out there flavors, I really found that the core business was keeping it simple, because I think people appreciated just the really nice taste of a good piece of chocolate.
What are new trends in chocolate that you're seeing?
Yeah, I actually just came back from New York City. I was in New York City over the weekend, and I went specifically to look for different types of things. You know, it's always fun to see what other people are doing. Of course, I went to Marie Belle, which they have very beautiful designs on their chocolates. I went to a Vosges. Basically, people are still wanting the same things. They want really lovely chocolates. It's all in the presentation. There are lots of different ways to package your chocolates. And I don't know if people really have an appreciation for what goes into the packaging, but it's usually quite extensive and quite expensive too.
Yes. Now, tempering chocolate is quite an art. Can you give us a little lesson in it?
A quick lesson in tempering chocolate is basically taking your chocolate and looking at it and looking at the directions. I use a couverture chocolate. A couverture chocolate is a chocolate that has at least 32% or higher cocoa butter. Tempering chocolate is just a process. It's used to mold chocolates. It's used to make things like barks. So you're melting it down to about 114 degrees, depending on your chocolate. Look at your box and see. It'll tell you the melting points, the working points, and so forth. My melting point's 114. I use a microwave, 50% power, melt it down, stirring it constantly and doing it in short intervals because you don't want to burn your chocolate. If you put it in your microwave and you start, putting it in and letting it go for a minute, you will burn your chocolate and throw it in the trash. So carefully monitoring it, stirring it, bringing it to the right temperature. And then the way I temper chocolate is I seed it. And what that means is I take chocolate that's already been tempered, have it chopped in little bits, and then start adding it a small amount at a time and incorporating it into the bowl of chocolate. So you're bringing the temperature down. Mm-hmm. Once you get it to a point, you can sort of see. I can see without using a thermometer, but it's always nice to have a thermometer at hand. But I can see the chocolate starting to set up, thicken up, starts to get a really nice shine to it. Once it gets to a point, mine's, anywhere from 88 to 90 degrees, you can do a little test. Take a little bit out of the bowl with your finger and sort of wipe it on your countertop, whatever your marble, whatever you're working with. And if it sets up nicely for you within just a few seconds, if your room is the proper temperature, then you'll know you're good to go. And then you can start making molds with it. You can start using it to build showpieces with. Sky's the limit.
Cheryl, how did you make the jump from market vendor to shop owner?
It just sort of happened. I was doing really well at the markets. I was doing like 3 markets a week, and my customers were asking for things that weren't happening on market days, which were like Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And if you weren't available on those days, then you need to find another place to sell your chocolates. So I started thinking about places that I might like to go, and I found a place after the storm near my house in Lakeview and built the kitchen out, and just a very small space, but was there almost 4 years, and began to increase the amount of products that I sold, because just having truffles and just having a few other things doesn't quite pay all your bills, nor does it meet your demand for what your customers are asking you for. So we started doing additional confections, and then the business grew into doing baked goods and cakes, and then the business grew into wedding cakes. Then the business continued to grow. So as the business grew and the customers were asking for things, I just kept growing with it.
Tell us about the pros and cons of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the pros and cons, I would say it's terrific to always be your own boss. It's a great opportunity that I've had, and I was blessed with that. But I will say that it's also one of those things where you work and you work and you work, and you really don't ever get a day off. My store is open 6 days a week, and then Sunday is the day that I'm supposed to be resting, but it's really not my day of rest. It ends up becoming more my day of catch-all, where if I can run to the store and pick something up during the week that I need, or a day where I can sit in front of the computer and do some research. So I would say that if you're thinking about becoming a business owner, that it is a wonderful opportunity, but you will work harder in your business than you will ever work in anything in your life.
Well, I just love that now you are sort of back where it all started, right there on Magazine Street. Your new location's just spitting distance across the street from that Saturday market.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, I've seen so many nice customers and of course all my friends that were my vendors, fellow vendors on Saturday morning. And it's fun to see them all. And now it's nice to say that I can, have my cake and eat it too, because I'm still seeing all my friends. I'm still seeing my customers, but now I'm inside and I can stay open longer and I can come in a little bit later.
Oh, that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming to talk with us on Louisiana Eats, Cheryl.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Cheryl Scripter of Bittersweet Confections. Chocolate truffles are so easy and fun to make. I can't think of a better way to say I love you on Valentine's Day than by sharing a little creamy chocolate handmade nibble with the one you love. A chocolate truffle is really just a simple ganache mixture formed into balls that are meant to resemble the fungus that grows among tree roots in France and Italy. All you have to do is slowly heat 1/3 cup of heavy cream until it just reaches a simmer. Then stir in 6 tablespoons of butter till it melts. Add 2 cups of bittersweet chocolate chips or your favorite chocolate chopped up into small pieces and stir it into the butter and cream until the mixture's smooth. Pour it into a bowl and then it's time to get creative. Your signature truffles can include just about anything you're in the mood to stir in. Chopped candied fruits and nuts, or how about adding a couple of tablespoons of your favorite intoxicating liqueur, like Kirsch or Grand Marnier. Refrigerate your mixture for at least 2 hours before rolling it into balls. Most truffles are finished by rolling in cocoa powder or confectioner's sugar, but you can mix up your own personal powdered love potion to roll those chocolatey, buttery bits in. Cayenne pepper, that's a spicy addition to the cocoa. Coarse sea salt, I love that sweet and salty combination. I can't wait to hear all the combinations that you all dream up. So email us at louisianaeats@wwno.org to tell us all about your truffle love potions. Happy Valentine's Day from all of us here at Louisiana Eats.
No matter what they're saying now, no matter what they may do, this feeling in my little heart will always follow you, and that's why I have to keep on loving you.
That's it for this week's edition of Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. Next week, we'll go down in the Treme for stories and recipes from the heart of New Orleans with Lolis Eli.
The themes we deal with, food, music, architecture, and culture and community. These are the things that I try to deal with in my column and the things that make me want to be a New Orleanian so much.
Subscribe to our podcast, hear today's show, or catch up on previous editions anytime online at WWNO and LouisianaEatsRadio.com. Louisiana Eats is made possible with major support from Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, Rouse's Markets, and Zatarain's. Additional support provided by Dickie Brennan and Company and Linda Green, the Yakima Ladies Soul Food Catering. Our media sponsor is Louisiana Life Magazine, the magazine of a great state. Original theme music by Johnny Sketch and the Dirty Notes. Thanks to executive producer Thomas Walsh and sound engineer Joe Schreiner. I'm Poppy Tooker. We'll see you next time. Louisiana Eats is a production of WWNO and the University of New Orleans.